Hi.
Hello.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Hold on just a second. Let me close out all of these other windows so that the feed is really strong.
I got you.
How are you
Folks, I am
doing
here.
today?
I'm sorry.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
Good. You look very happy.
I
I like
am
a
very
happy
happy.
face.
Folks, I am here with Rebekah Samuel. She has a YouTube channel herself. Actually, over 100 subscribers more than me, so she knows what she's doing.
Oh,
Uh, I will be putting her channel in the description, and she is also an admin of the Facebook group Christians with Aspergers. I'll put that link in the description as well. Thank you for being here.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Definitely. So we're just gonna jump right into this. The first question I have is, when were you diagnosed with Asperger's?
Okay, so it was early this year, January of this year. And it's kind of crazy because it's just been a whirlwind ever since. I am self-diagnosed Asperger's. I had a lot of confirmations from different people who know what the signs of Asperger's are, and they were able to help me confirm it. One of them was a teacher who works with ASD adults and children, and she was like, yeah, I knew this from the time I first met you. I didn't, at that time, I didn't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I was diagnosed at 3, but like some of my teachers didn't know that. And like once I figured that out, they were like, "Oh, that makes sense."
Yes.
So what is the main way, positively or negatively, that Asperger's has affected your life?
That's a great question. I would say for the positives, I have definitely been able to come into a new community of people who understand me and who I can understand. That's been a really big positive for me, because I grew up with a lot of different people in my life that I felt misplaced. I didn't feel like I fit in those circle groups and those friendship circles. I would try to make friends in those groups, but I never really felt like I was in with them.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest things was meeting all of you guys with Christian with Asperger's, and all the other Christian Asperger's community that's out there has been fantastic. As well as just understanding myself a little more has helped me work through problems that I have a lot better, because I can now have this expectation of, oh, that is the reason why I struggle in this area. And I'm trying to think of some other things that would be really helpful for this interview and for those of you guys watching. Another one is my relationships in person, my marriage. It affected my marriage in a big way because there would be things that, me and my husband would have issues with, and we didn't have an answer of why. I was not understanding him. We were actually speaking different languages is what we have
Right,
learned.
exactly. Yeah.
So it's like taking, somebody with, Spanish and trying to put them with someone who speaks English and get them to get along and get them to understand each other and solve problems and work out, regular marriage stresses and things that happen in marriage. So the positive definitely in understanding that has allowed us to be able to work through our issues better. The negative, however, is more of the fact that I cannot always do everything I wish that I could do in the way I want to do it. Is
Okay.
that too
Yeah.
much?
Oh yeah, yeah, I
Can you
agree.
understand
Yeah.
that? Yeah. So when I realized that I had limitations in some areas, I was like, I had to look at it as this may be a weak area of my life, but it doesn't have to be something that I live in and I stay in and I'm depressed about. I
Hmm.
can make this a positive in my life. I can turn this around. And identifying those things, I guess you could say, identifying the negatives in my life that I would struggle with, have given me opportunity to find a positive in that negative.
That's great. Yeah, that's something that I'm definitely still working on. Like, I appreciate the positives way too much, and for the negatives they get way too low. So like I definitely struggle with finding positives and negatives. That's something I need to work on.
I think we all need to work on it though. I think
Yeah.
I'm still finding things that I look at myself and I say, oh, that's a negative or that's a deficit.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think it's the way that I've been approaching them
Yeah.
instead of letting myself just, sink into that depression or sink into that resolve of, I'm never going to be able to do that, and so
Right.
everything is over. My life is over because I can't do that one thing. And not necessarily. It's just I can't do it in the way that I'm expected to do it by a neurotypical world.
Mm-hmm.
But I can do it
Exactly.
in my way. I can have that success be the success that I call a success.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, success is like definitely relative because everyone has their own abilities and their own experiences. So
Right.
and that's what I don't like about like the neurotypical society. It's like you're kind of placed in a cookie cutter of what success is, and like you don't.
Yes.
Yeah, like you're like most times you're not able to figure it out on your own, like what you think is a success.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
definitely. So you kind of answered the third question, but in
Uh-oh.
your experience,
Sorry.
no, you're good. You're good. In your experience, what is the best thing that has come out of this condition?
I think the best thing has been finding my purpose, finding my why, and I'm still shaping my why, I'm still shaping my purpose, and I'm still shaping my who that I serve
Mm-hmm.
as well. But I think the fact that I've had a better chance at it. I'm 32 years old, and I went most of my life not knowing who I am. And
Right.
so I am really learning right now in this journey of autism and learning what autism is about, who I am as an autistic. I'm learning more about me in general. So it's like, oh, hey, good to meet you. My name is Rebekah J. Samuel. Here's the new and improved Rebekah J.
I
Samuel
feel
because now
that.
I know who I am.
Yeah, that's
So,
awesome.
yeah,
So let's talk about some Christianity.
absolutely.
Okay, so we both are Christians. For those of you who don't know, do you think being a Christian has given you a different outlook on this condition than if you were atheist or agnostic?
Absolutely. 100%. Because I think with atheism and agnosticism, whether you believe in God and you just don't believe he cares, or he's involved in the details of your life, or you're atheist and you don't believe in God at all, you have no purpose and you have no hope. There's
Right,
nothing to look forward to. And so when I have that relationship with Jesus and I know that on those hard days, I have someone I can go to who I know hears me and who actually responds to me, who doesn't just stay silent. And that really comes with that relationship, developing that relationship with Christ. When I have that interaction with the Holy Spirit, it helps uplift me. It helps get me to that place of hope again. And it helps give me that motivation to keep moving forward with what
right,
I'm called to do. Because we're all called to do something, right? Like we
right,
all have gifts, we all have talents, we all have purpose. We just don't always know what that purpose is. And having that relationship with the Lord points that out to me. It has showed me that path. Like as soon as I became autistic, as in I didn't become autistic, but as soon as
right,
I learned
right.
I was, as soon as I learned I was, part of that of me knowing that I was because of God. He's the one who knows who I am. And so he led me to finding myself out in that way, right? I didn't do all of this myself. He was like, I know who you are. And he spoke this to me in 2019. I know who you are. You don't even know who you are yet, but I'm going
Right.
to show you who you are so that you can then live your life and the rest of your days operating in who you are. So,
That's awesome.
an atheist and agnostic doesn't have that hope and that relationship and that purpose,
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why it's important to explore this area of your life for sure.
So I guess like is that like the main reason that you're a Christian because of like a purpose for or like looking forward to something?
Um, I wouldn't say that's the main reason. So I gave my life to the Lord when I was 6 years old.
Hmm.
I was baptized when I was 6, but I went through a wrestling with God sort of
Right.
period where I didn't just believe everything that I was being told. Growing up, I was kind of one of those people that challenged everything. I asked a lot of why
Same.
questions. I asked a lot of why questions, how questions. I didn't just believe it for what it said. I needed
Yeah,
to
yeah.
see. I needed to know. So I challenged God when I was 8 years old, and I said, "Okay, God, if you're real, then you need to show me that you're real
Mm,
because I
yeah.
need to know for real that you exist. Otherwise,
Mhm.
I'm just believing in a fantasy and that doesn't mean anything to my life, right?" And I had a dream of heaven at 8 years
Okay.
old. And that was my first answer of yes, I'm real and I'm here. And I walked through heaven and I saw different aspects of heaven. And the funny thing is, I never had read Revelation in the Bible.
Wow, that's cool. Was it exactly like Revelations said
Yeah.
it was?
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah. it
That's
was real.
really cool.
It was really cool. Like I wrote a song about it afterwards, an 8-year-old's version of a song. But I wrote a song highlighting all the different pieces that I saw, the fruit trees, the river that ran through them. Like I saw these very clear things that are in Revelation. I told my mom about it and I said, I think I just dreamed of heaven. And I just said it very matter of factly. And
Exactly right. Yeah.
she was like, uh, okay, well, what did you see? And I started describing it. And she's like, oh, hold on a minute. She grabs her Bible, she opens it up to Revelation, and she starts reading. And I'm like, yeah, I saw that. I saw that. I saw that. I mean, it was so matter of fact for me as an autistic child, not realizing I was autistic at the time, that it
Hmm.
was just night and day. It was like light was off and now it's on.
Yeah,
And
that's
I can't
awesome.
deny it, right? I can't. So
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it was a faith building thing for me because I asked for something that I needed proof, and I really asked it in faith as a child, in a
Right.
childlike faith. And then God granted that to me. And it was not for myself though, it was for other people too.
That kind of brings up a question I have, like not related to the interview questions.
That's okay. Yeah, go for it.
So why do you think that like when someone asks for proof that God exists, like why does God give it to some people but not other people? Because some people like they're asking in good faith as well. They're like, hey, if you prove that you're real, I will follow you. So like
Yeah.
I guess why do you think it varies from person to person? Like whether yeah.
So in walking with the Lord for 20 something years, um, I've seen a lot of different instances of this where some people will get straight up signs and you can't
Right.
deny it, like me. And then
Mhm.
I've seen other people who ask for them all the time and they never get them. I think it has a lot more to do with the circumstances. I grew up in a home that had a little bit of spiritual confusion. There was a lot of spiritual confusion. There was me wrestling with demonic side and angelic side all the time. And I'm very spiritually sensitive to those things. So
Mhm.
demonic stuff I could feel, I could sense, I could experience, right?
Yeah.
And so I needed to understand the surroundings that I was living in. I needed to understand what was going on in my world. And I think it was an act of mercy and grace more than anything that he showed me these things and continued to show me, even through my teenage years, that he's present, that he's there, that there's hope here. Um, but also, I think it has to do with purpose and what your purpose is. We're called to different things. And for
Mhm.
me, I've been very clearly called to teach, to administrate, to bring communities together. And if I don't have something to back it up, if I don't have a testimony and a story to back that up,
Right.
I wouldn't be very effective. So
Right,
I think
right.
it has to do with purpose and circumstances and what is needed. I would say people who are crying out, asking the Lord, "Are you there?" And he's not seemingly responding. He might be responding, just not in the way that people are looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would say that this is where faith comes in. Faith is believing in things that are unseen, right? Having the faith that he is there, even if you can't hear him audibly or in your head, but that he exists. Also, I would say by the testimony of believers. If a bunch of people in the world are saying, yes, God is real, we either choose to believe it or to reject it. So it also comes down to us. Do we want to know the truth? Do we want to believe the truth, or do we want to reject the truth? That is very obvious
Mm-hmm.
because, I mean, you are a Christian, I'm a Christian, I know the Lord, you know the Lord. If someone doesn't believe our story, our testimony, and our experiences, that is a choice that's being made there.
And well, yeah, that's a fantastic answer.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, the final question, just out of curiosity, have you gotten any? Have you had any miraculous events occur or like abnormal experiences, like aside from that one dream?
Many,
Um, Many.
many, many. One of them, oh, I'm so glad I get to share this with you guys.
Oh
this
yeah, yeah, yeah.
this is the one I've really been having a lot more people talking to me, and then this one comes out because it's just perfect for the occasion.
Okay.
When I was about 10 years old, I think it was like 10 years old. It's between 8 and 10. I always sometimes get the age incorrect. I had a vision of me chained, my hands, this is me as a child, chained, and my feet chained to my bedroom floor and wall. And there were black demons circling me, taunting me, saying horrible things. I mean, the most awful things that come straight from hell.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And I was overwhelmed. I felt all the sensations of what that would feel like. I was fearful. I was so afraid.
Yeah.
And I could not speak. My voice had been taken from me and I could not speak. And so I mouthed, which kind of barely came into a whisper, "Jesus, help me." That's all I said. And it was like a mouthing of it, barely a whisper. And this huge angel that was like 12 foot tall, I mean, huge and tall angel, completely covered in gold armor, came flying through my window, my bedroom window.
Oh my gosh.
The ceiling raised up to accommodate the height of the angel. Okay, so
Wow.
things are moving around in this vision, right? And he comes in, he has a huge wingspan that is all feathers, like all the feathers. And it looked like a cherubim angel, if
Hmm.
you've ever seen him. If you Google an angel and Michael the Archangel, Google,
Yeah.
because I'm pretty sure that's who it was, the one who comes to war for
Wow.
you. Yeah. He came in, he didn't have, I couldn't see his face, but I could see it very white. He was all very bright and white. And I just looked terrified. I mean, like, I remember seeing myself in two different persons, where I was observing myself, watching myself, and seeing the perspective of me looking up at him. Does that make sense? Seeing two
It
different,
does, but that's bizarre.
taking two
Wow, yeah.
perspectives at the same time. Yes,
That's
so bizarre.
crazy.
So
What?
bizarre. But then he took this like huge sword out of his sheath. It had
Hmm.
studded jewels all in the handle. Just absolutely rich. I mean, he looked rich and glorious. And I could see my reflection and the demon's reflection in his armor. And they were like terrified. As soon as he pulled out his sword, he slashed my chains off of my hands and my feet, and he chased the black demon things out the window, out of the hallway window.
Oh my goodness.
That
Yeah.
was the vision that sealed my faith completely, because I was like, how how could my brain come up with something like that when it's
Right,
never seen
exactly.
anything like that? How could it imagine anything like that? Well, that vision has come up again in my recent years in regards to my autism. That there were chains, there were things that were, spiritual chains on me that I couldn't do anything about because it was generational. And so he was giving me a vision of something that would happen in the future, that he
Mm,
was going to break those chains off of me and I would be free from that, spiritually free. And he definitely did that for me.
that's awesome. How were you able to comprehend that at 10 years old? Like, because I know you said you were terrified. Like, did that stick with you in a negative way for some time? Because
There was peace.
or do you think it was like spiritual understanding given to you that
Yes,
like okay
yes, I knew what was happening in that moment. I knew I
okay
was seeing a spiritual battle happening in the spirit world. And that was one of the sensitivities that I grew up with, that I've had for all my life, is being able to see the spirit world, things that people can't see with their own eyes. And I've had dreams and visions over the years, a bunch of them. And they all signify something spiritual in my life or in someone else's life. People have been saved through some of my visions,
oh
in regards to like actual life situations, saved. Um, but yeah, as a child, I knew what I was already asking God. I knew I was already praying to him and asking him to show himself in ways and to save me and to help me, because I was so distressed. I didn't understand what was going on in my world, um, when it came to feeling the spiritual sensitivities that I was feeling all the time.
mm-hmm.
So this was kind of like an expected answer that I was looking for, but also a surprise because I didn't see myself chained like that. Um, but it also showed me that, like, okay, God really does care. He really cares about my life.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously, he'll send a whole angel to come and do battle, in my life. And that's something I've never actually shared publicly. So this is my first time sharing that
Well,
publicly.
thank you so much for sharing that
Yeah, it's cool that you asked the question.
in this interview. Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Um, do you have any more questions? Any more experiences?
Any more experiences of like spiritual experiences?
I guess so.
Yes, a
If
lot.
not, it's totally fine. If you don't want to
Do you
share.
have a specific category? Because I've had them in many different situations, categories. I've been saved from a car accident that I was almost in. So I was smoking pot with friends. This is when my years of when I moved, after all that God did for me, yes, me, I decided that I was going to go do my own thing anyway.
Oh
Because
yeah,
sometimes we lose sight of what God has said and done, and we
yeah.
forget sometimes too. And I had to be reminded. But I decided that I was just going to do my own thing. And I'm like, I'm going to live out in the world and I'm going to do the things, I'm going to try all the things that the world does out there.
Mm,
And I don't care. And I told God, I really don't care. And it was one of my hard depression times,
mm.
right? And I decided to get into the car of my friend's vehicle. It was a terrible idea. It was in the middle of winter. It hadn't snowed yet, though, in that area, because I grew up in Kentucky. Sometimes it doesn't snow, sometimes
Oh
it
yeah, yeah,
doesn't.
yeah. I know that.
Yeah, yeah. So I got into the car with them, and it was late at night, and there's this route that just is circuitous, and it runs around mountains, and it's just crazy. It's a crazy route, and people go joyriding on
Oh
that.
yeah, I bet. Yeah.
So I was high and I was drinking. And so I'm drunk and high, and
Bad combo.
really bad combo. And I ended up getting in that car with my boyfriend at the time, who was also high and drunk. Really bad judgment there. But I did it. And we ended up hitting this curve. So there's this curve that went around it was like a hairpin turn that went around the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And my boyfriend completely, like, I think he blacked out or something as the driver. And his foot started accelerating on the gas. So
Oh
we
my
were in a
God.
35 mile per hour space. And he started going like all the way up to like 85 or something like that, getting ready to hit this hairpin turn. That car hit the guardrail around the corner. My instincts came in and I turned that wheel over to the left. The car slammed into the guardrail. There's a 30 or something foot down below drop because we're in a mountain here,
Oh,
right?
jeez.
And it's on my side, the drop is. And I remember feeling like everything just like stopped. And the car ended up, when I came back to, the car was over to the side of the mountain and it was crashed beyond crash, like really crashed.
Total, yeah.
Totally totaled. And
Mm-hmm.
everybody in the back seat, my friends in the back seat, and my boyfriend were just like out. But I was not. I was alive and I was okay. I didn't have one scratch. I didn't have one bruise. I had nothing wrong with me. And I looked over at the, where the drop was. The guardrail had gone off the mountain. That's how hard we hit that guardrail. The guardrail
Wow.
had completely fallen off the mountain. And my window was about that close to being completely shattered, where I probably would have died if that windshield would have shattered. And it didn't on my side. So I stepped out of the car unharmed completely. And my friends all ended up having to go to the hospital for whiplash and all these other things.
Oh, wow.
And you know what they said? The next day, after they got all the treatment and everything, and they got in touch with me, how are you not dead? Because the car was completely smashed on my side. And they're like, how are you not in the hospital? And out of my boyfriend's mouth, an angel must have protected you. There's no other explanation.
So I'm sorry. Are you saying that like you were like smashed at like the car like imploded?
Smashed on my side. So when it was coming around, it hit the guardrail and it smashed the whole car in on the right side.
Oh my God.
Which is where I was sitting and where my friends were in the back. And it slammed in that car. Like you could see where the big dent was or whatever in the door. And yeah, like the window should have been shattered at that point, and where it hit the guardrail hit right under the window. Right under it.
That is crazy. That's so cool.
Yep. So that's just one of the many stories I have. So there's two of your stories.
That's a very good way to end this. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. How is God not real, right?
Exactly.
If any of you are atheists or agnostics and you think that God's not real, just come talk to me.
I know. Yeah. I'll be sure to send some your way. There are a couple of friends of mine.
Yeah, we can talk.
Rebekah Samuel, thank you for joining me. As I said, I will put all your links in the description.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for sharing this.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
All right. You have a great day.
All right.